How you doing, Jake?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing really well. So you grew up in New England?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And now initially, did you listen to a lot of Christian contemporary music?
Yes. Yes.
Is that like, is there influence there? Like, are you?
Absolutely. Well, one thing I have against Christian contemporary music is they don't get too creative. I want more creativity.
I have always thought that.
But I did learn one great thing is just like the song structure. It's simple. It helped me understand how music works.
Right. But it's sort of like one dimensional kind of, right?
Yeah.
Like you wanted to kind of expand and get beyond.
For sure.
So now, because, well, in my family, we have, I have some relatives that are, what do they say? They're Christian, right?
Sure.
And so my nephew got into a car with me a few years ago, and I turned on top 40 music, and he's like, what is this? Like, we don't listen to non-secular music.
Sure. Yeah.
And I literally drove off the road. I'm like, you've never heard of Dua Lipa? Like what? And it's interesting. So how did you sort of branch out from there? Was there like any sort of rejection maybe by your parents or family members?
Yeah, no. So to me, the most important thing for me is to stay true to myself and my faith. And so I still practice. I am a believer, and my dad's a pastor. And to me, my music, it's not necessarily fit into a box. I like to just get into the studio, get creative. I don't put, necessarily a label or title on it, but I want it to be listened to by anybody. And so I stay true to that. I stay true to my faith. And I just, love making music. And I just feel like, putting it in that box sometimes, can feel just, constricting creatively.
Yeah.
But that's still who I am, though. Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. And I did read something about you where you're just talking about how, the way people listen to music these days is so different. And I like that, you're putting your music out there on social media, and you're basically getting you're sort of like, focus grouping the stuff. It's like, hey, here's what I'm working on right now. What do you guys think of this?
Yeah.
Has there been any sort of pitfalls to that at all? Or is that working out really well?
I feel, it's really just about being authentic, and, I don't like to put up a facade. To me, if I'm working on a song, I think it's cool, I'm going to put it up. And, if people don't like it, that's cool. Maybe it's not for them. But for me, it's just a way to connect, authentically with the people who support me, people who like my music. And, anytime that I like a song, it tends to resonate with people. And so I try not to get, too in my head about it. I just post up music and, see what happens.
Yeah. So it doesn't get you sad, maybe once in a while you're like, oh, this is so great, but you put it out there and maybe the fans didn't react the way you wanted them to?
Yeah, no, I mean, sometimes I think early on that was definitely a struggle for me. I would get in my head about the views just because, oh, I really thought this one would do well, this and that. And so now looking back, I should have just kept trusting my gut and putting music out there.
Yeah. Were you you were making music right through school, right?
Yeah.
How were your fellow students at school? Did they treat you well?
Yeah. It's funny. No one asked me about this because I was making music. I started when I was 14, and then by 16, I actually quit my basketball team. And you said we weren't going to talk about my height, but here we are.
No way, you played basketball.
Yeah, there you go. I was, on the basketball team, and I just found myself trying to balance, my off time from not being in school to, either basketball or music. I just figured out I couldn't do both. And so I remember playing, a beat for one of my friends. They're like, it's cool. And, nobody really thought it was great because I wasn't great at the time. You got to start somewhere. And
right.
I actually went out to get some lunch with those same guys. And they're like, yo, remember when you played me that beat? That was actually really cool. It was really dope.
Yeah. Well, how did you discover that? How did you sort of, find the interest in making music? It's one thing, to enjoy music, but then to take that next step.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think I was really a fan of music until I started creating it. I had a number of artists that really got me intrigued, but I really fell in love with music in a different way once I started creating it, just really being able to put myself out there and, have ideas and just make them come to life. And so that's kind of how I really started getting into it.
Who was the first person to encourage you? Was it that friend who said that beat was really great, or was there somebody in your family? Or?
Yeah, it's funny. So the way I started making music was one of my friends had Logic on his computer, to make music. And I was like, yo, let's hang out and like, let's try to make a beat. And we tried to make something. We literally didn't get anything done. It was terrible, but that ended up going off. And all of my friends, I had a group of like 12 friends who all were making music. And we were just like, yo, we want to make an album together. And so this one summer, I think it was 2016, we made an album together. And it was just like a really core experience for me. And then me and my brother just kind of went off and kept pushing. And eventually, you know, now I'm here. And a lot of those guys still, you know, just making music. But we took it really seriously after that point. But, you know, that's how I really got into it. Was my friends were super supportive and they, you know, were right there with me.
That's awesome. The single Golden Hour, which is exploding, and I get to play it every day, and I think that's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
But there's, you know, there's beautiful piano in that, and is that you as
Yes.
well?
Yeah.
Okay, so when did you pick up piano?
Yeah. So
Not to spit all over
no,
you
you're
right
good.
now,
You're
sorry.
good. No, you're good. No, my mom is a music teacher, and
Okay.
so at the age of 3, she started teaching me how to play. I started giving her a hard time because I just didn't like it, and
Yeah.
so she let me go play drums and then guitar, and so I picked up a base knowledge in those instruments. And then when I started making music, I was just kind of throwing those in there. But yeah, for me, like I was never really into like, oh, I'm going to play somebody else's music and do it perfectly and be that sort of performer. It was like, I want to use these skills and make something for my own.
You wanted to make original music like right from the start.
Yeah, I didn't really enjoy it until I started doing that.
Do you did you perform live anywhere?
Yeah, no.
Originally?
Yeah, growing up in church, I would play drums a lot.
Okay.
And that was kind of the main thing. I would hop onto guitar and piano, and that's really where me and my brother kind of got that sixth sense. We would always play together every week, and so you know, he's my main collaborator with all my music, just me and him. And so it's really cool, like, you know, to be able to do that with him because we had that so much bonding and experience together in that.
That's awesome. Where'd you get this shirt?
This was from Zara.
Oh, really?
Yes,
I haven't
yes.
been to Zara in a while.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
pretty dope. I
Yeah, it
liked
is
it.
pretty
I was
dope.
like, I'll throw it on top of the turtleneck. Turtleneck's kind of been my thing recently. So.
Yeah, this is the whole thing is working.
Thanks,
Do
man.
you like style yourself? Or?
Yeah. No, this was all self-styled.
And then where do you get sort of like the inspiration? Like what? Like
Man, for me, I definitely tend to keep it chilled back. You know, my manager's like, "Yo, you got to try some new stuff," you know. But this was me kind of like stepping out. Okay, let's try something. But yeah, it's funny. I like to keep everything, you know, just really chill. I like baggy clothes, but today, you know, we got a tight fit.
well,
so.
baggy apparently is bag. In fact, I like
For sure.
look around. There's baggy. I'm like looking. I'm like, oh, I can't remember who's out there, but somebody's got like the big cuffs on tonight. I'm like, oh man, I feel like my jeans are skinny jeans in comparison. But yeah, it's always a good night for fashion, and that's
absolutely.
it's going to be an amazing show. You excited about the show tonight?
I'm so pumped. I'm super excited.
All right, fantastic. I can't wait to watch you perform.
Let's go.
Jake, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure to spend time with Jake, everyone.